Welcome back as always to the Z-Man Show, guys. Tonight we're talking The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 14 called Scars. Now, hey, just first real quick, look back there. I got it in. I got my backdrop. So I had so many pictures to choose from. I know I told you guys I was going to get something for the wall, just a little more pleasant for the background, but that's it. That's what I chose. I just, the Season 1 female half torn in half zombie, that's the one I chose. So anyways, hope you're enjoying that backdrop there. I love it. It's a canvas. Got it from a place, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about that later. But hey, let's talk about this week's episode of The Walking Dead. And holy crap, talk about getting some solid backstory. What a great episode about Michonne and Daryl and what happened to Michonne and why she's always been so on guard all these episodes. We've seen her and just trying to turn people away and so forth, and just why is she so ferocious when it comes to this. And of course Judith not understanding as well. So we finally get that backstory. So let's get straight into it. So we find out that Michonne had come across some new people that I guess were out there surviving and so forth. A lot of them were kids. And along with these kids, she finds out was one of her friends, a longtime friend, that her name was Jocelyn. And I guess it sounds like that these two grew up together. At first, so we were trying to figure out, was this a sister or this or that? But no, it just sounded like just a really, really close friend of hers. And again, they were growing up before all the shit hit the fan and the apocalypse came, right? But they knew each other. They grew up together. I mean, they had that strong bond growing up. And come to find out, let's just skip to the nitty gritty right here. They get betrayed, the ultimate betrayal. So, they show some scenes of them getting along and the kids, and they're spending time together. And, Michonne's over there thinking, man, if Rick could only be here to see this and, these great times and what we've been trying to build. And then come to find out, she goes over to, I guess the kids had a sleepover or whatever. So Judith and some of the other kids, they get into the house and it's empty. There's nobody there. So this Jocelyn chick, her closest friend back in the day, again, I don't think they've seen each other in almost 15 years, which, mind you, that's a lot of time for someone to change, especially when something like the apocalypse comes into play, because, right, I mean, these crazy groups, they do terrible things. But, not everybody has to be terrible, and we've seen that. Obviously, we have several communities who are trying to do the right thing, but here we go. Jocelyn's got her own little cult following. She's got a couple of older teenagers, I guess, trying to help her, run things and so forth, and then these young kids are trying to warp their minds and brainwash them. And so they run away and they clear them out of all their food, right? I mean, talk about what's going in through her mind. Mind you, Michonne is like a good, 8, if not 9 months pregnant. I mean, she's ready to pop, okay? So, and she's still willing to go out there and make things right. So luckily, Daryl goes with her. They get out there. And, and before they even came across these kids, I knew something bad was going to go down here, because I was just like, well, obviously the scars on their back, that was the number one key. But number two is like, before you go in here, are you willing to do what is necessary? And what I mean, of course, is, are you willing to kill these kids and your so-called best friend of years ago, to get back what you need? And I don't think that Michonne had fully thought this one out before going in, and maybe not even Daryl either, which you would have figured Daryl would have just did what he had to do, but even he was reserved. And so they come across the big group of kids. Michonne's just like, I just want mine back. Daryl gets an arrow to the arm. Holy shit. I mean, the kid shot before Daryl even had a chance. So yeah, these kids were ruthless. And I'll tell you, I knew something was, obviously we knew what was kind of going to go down here, but when Jocelyn was talking to Michonne and she was talking about the kids, and she said, these kids, they're able to do anything, they can do anything pretty much. That line, out of that whole bit, her composure, everything else was perfect. But that one line, I was like, that was your mistake. At least with me, I would have been like, I'm not buying all this, whatever. So they tied them up. They brand them with that cool little cross branding. And again, I think there was a question on talking. I was like, why did they brand them? And I guess it was Jocelyn trying to shake off the fear and helping the kids to be able to move forward to take that next step, which of course would probably be killing them in the end. It's not like they're creating new followers or something like that. It's just, brand them, desensitize the kids, get them more comfortable, and then eventually, I guess, have them make the next step to try and kill. So that was crazy. Luckily, Daryl was already on the case trying to get out. They shouldn't have trusted him by himself. Daryl takes out a couple of them and this and that. And so anyways, they get going. And man, that scene when Michonne finally, she has to start fighting the kids. And she's doing everything she can not to kill these kids. She gets even sliced across her stomach. I mean, she's still trying not to hurt these kids. And I'm telling you, she's got more power than I would have. If it was my kids, it would have been lights out. I mean, and maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't know. What would you do if it was your children, I'm curious, audience, what would you do in this situation? Would you have done exactly what you need to do and taken them out one by one until you had your kids back? Or would you have tried to do what Michonne did, or even furthermore, and just try to talk it out and try and talk sense into them and, just work it out another way instead of violence? I could just tell these kids were brainwashed, and this Jocelyn, she was cuckoo, nutsy cuckoo, right? So she gets out, and she gets out the door, just before she's about to get to Judith and them in that trailer, and Jocelyn starts beating her with that huge old 2x4, maybe it was a 4x4, anyway, just nailing her back and forth, just knocking her out, and finally, Michonne does what she has to do. She kills her, and I was just like, hey, good night, right? See you later. And and obviously it's hard for Michonne, right? I mean, this was her friend, but she sees what true friends are capable of even after everything they've been through. And then she ends up having to fight the kids. And so anyway, so you guys saw the rest of the episode. So it was pretty crazy seeing that all go down. Daryl didn't even have to get in on the action. Michonne had to do most of it herself. And that one kid ran in with a knife right at her stomach, and she's still holding back. And she's saying, I know she was probably just trying to trick him a little bit, saying that we'll take you back to Alexandria, we'll take care of you. But I mean, my wife thought that she was just trying to fool them a little bit just to get to. I think that is true, but I also think she was actually being serious. Like, she was probably like, maybe we'll try to take care of you. I don't know. That could probably be debated one way or another. But the point being, she wanted to get to Judith, so she finally gets to Judith, which I thought was super cool. That they actually used the same Judith that they were using when Rick was still around. Obviously, she's gotten older, and so she was able to run out and say "mommy," and they picked her up. She's cute as a button. So pretty super intense, right? And so as this is all going along, these were flashbacks throughout the entire episode, which I thought was also really neat. And we see that there's been some conflict between Michonne and her daughter Judith. So, I thought it was really interesting, every time Michonne goes in to talk to Negan, I mean, how forceful she is when talking. I mean, she doesn't want to hear a word out of his mouth, which I get it, but see, we get to see everything behind the doors and what Negan's been up to, and so that hasn't all been led on to Michonne herself. So, she just doesn't want a thing to do with him. But as we can see, that Negan has some redeemable qualities possible there. I mean, he could be useful, but again, I know it's a fine line. I don't know. I want to see him be good, but then the other part of me is like, but man, he's done so much bad, But they can't keep him locked up forever, so sooner or later something's gonna go down. But she was short with them, but Negan pretty much laid it out. He laid it out as good as he could without. I mean, he kind of just laid it out straight, like he usually always does, and just saying that your daughter's not talking to you because you're not willing to open up to her for the things that you've changed and the things that happened in the past. And it kind of sparks, I think, something in Michonne in that present tense scene, and she finally gets an idea of where she might be, and then that's when she heads out to go find her. But yeah, I think Michonne owes Negan a little bit of a thank you, and maybe not an apology so much, but I think they need to start building on that, their conversations and what the future looks like. It's time. It's been years. It's time to see what's up, especially after he's already left and come back. I mean, okay, it's done, right? He's done its penance, I think, in some ways. So either way, we move forward. She gets out there, Michonne, and she starts hacking down walkers, which, what are the chances of little Judith being there? I don't know, but she was there, and a super close call, and another wake-up call. I mean, she's just a little girl. She's just a little kid. I mean, you got to be careful being out there on your own, and luckily Michonne's there to save her, and I guess maybe you could say she drew her attention to her, which caused her to lower her guard for a second when that zombie grabbed her. But either way, Michonne did save her, and they have a heart-to-heart talk and start talking about the past and what happened. Michonne finds out that Judith remembered everything that happened to the Jocelyn and her kids, and so again, it's trying to think, make yourself believe that your kids don't remember and that they'll be fine and they'll move on, and we don't have to bring it up ever. But they know these things, so it's important to keep that line of communication open at all times, no matter what, with your kids. Another notes, we have I found that the Whisperers finding the kingdom. That's a big okay, so they saw the caravans going inside with the goods and tradables and so forth, and then they're getting ready to go to Alpha. So we're in some major trouble right here. We also saw quick next scenes for the next episode, and we saw that Daryl, Carol, Yumiko, and Michonne are cornered. It looks like they slaughtered a bunch of zombies, and now they're cornered by Alpha and Beta and the rest of the Whisperers. We're in deep trouble here. We're 2 episodes away from the finale. I think somebody's going. And if I had to take a guess, and I hate knowing just the details about things, but we know Daryl has some huge contract going on, so he's not going anywhere. I mean, I can almost guarantee that one. Michonne, I know she's getting ready to leave, but I could have swore they said that she would be around for a little bit longer, so I didn't think that she'd be gone just yet. My guess would be for Yumiko or Carol, actually, but hey, I mean, anything's open. We'll see what happens. I guess that's what keeps the excitement going. You never know just what they're going to do. Other than that, I think that's pretty much what was going on. That last thing I want to talk about was Michonne and Lydia. So they showed that scene last week when they had the conversation where Michonne's pretty much letting on that if I could just leave and take all my troubles with me and that it wouldn't affect those at the colony, at Alexandria, she would do it, and that Lydia should maybe think about that. So basically, she's telling Lydia, maybe you should just go, leave everybody else alone, and take your troubles with you, and so we can be safe here. That it's harsh. It is harsh. They had a little poll going on. I just happened to catch a minute of it on Talking Dead. But the poll was, do you think Michonne was being ruthless, truthful, or manipulative? And I mean, you could probably say a little bit of maybe everything. But honestly, I think she was just being truthful. I think she's just saying, I think you should probably go. Without saying, I should think you should probably go. So maybe saying it indirectly, is that manipulative? Probably a little bit. But I think, honestly, she was just trying to say truthful. I think you need to go, and I just don't think you should be here. So, but in the end, I think Michonne learned her lesson after talking with Judith, opening up. Judith brought really good conversation and good ideas about, do we sacrifice the ones we love? Do we sacrifice the king and Carol and Daryl? Do we just let them die out there when they need our help? And when we love these people? And I think there's a good point there. I don't think those people would ever do anything bad to Alexandria or Michonne or anything. They would never do what her friend Jocelyn did. That it's a different situation. Maybe I could be wrong, but even when things would be dire, I think they would still be there for each other. I'd like to think that. So anyways, it looks like Michonne may have learned her lesson because she's got her little sawed-off caravan car or whatever being drawn by horses, and they come across Daryl and Henry and Lydia and so forth, and so they jump in and they're on their way to the kingdom. So yeah, pretty cool episode, guys. I'm giving this one 8.6 out of 10. It was really, really neat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So yeah, just a few episodes away from the end, so it kind of stinks because I guess we'll have to hold off on our videos for a little while. I am considering, though, maybe doing Game of Thrones videos just because I love Game of Thrones just as much as anything else, and everybody else for that matter. It's going to be a crazy season. I mean, I can't wait to see this thing unfold. I hear it's going to make people angry. Nobody's going to like the ending. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see what's about to go down. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see some Game of Thrones videos. Maybe I'll try and do those coming up here in April when that comes too. Well, obviously we'll have Fear the Walking Dead coming too, so that's always fun. I hope you've liked kind of like what I've done with the backdrop of the room and this and that. I'm going to be doing a few other small things in the future. The canvas you see in the background, so it's a 3-piece. I got that from canvasfreaks.com. They seem like a very legit company. It was kind of interesting because I was looking at a lot of these different companies and a lot of small companies online. I didn't know who I could trust, but I did order through here. It took them about a week to put it together. You can get them just on the canvas alone, or they'll actually build the structure for it too, so they're ready to hang. So kind of neat. Check it out. A little pricey. I mean, this one was a little bit more pricey than I wanted to spend, but you only get one of them for the backdrop, so that's kind of cool too. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review for season 9, episode 14, Scars for The Walking Dead. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and I will see you, of course, at the next review. See you guys.